BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Right, boys, we've recorded our podcast there with Ben Foster. I loved it, but I think we're going to have to use our first bleep.
Yeah, Ben, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, but that word...
Sorry, lads, I'm really sorry. It wasn't me, though. It was 20,000 Wolves fans saying it to me. It's not me, honestly. I don't say them sort of words.
And it's not cyclist. That's not the word.
Exactly, mate.
That should be bleeped out. Cyclist.
Yeah, any mention of the word cyclist in this podcast should get bleeped out.
Got my name attached to it, this podcast. There will be adult themes, some bad language as well. Crouchy P on the MIC. We're doing this just for free.
Do you give it the sniff test? Peter, come do the quiz.
Feel a little bit like Dirty Den.
You and your two silly little mates.
Silly little mates, just wrap it up.
Is it weird doing one of these whilst wearing clothes?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be cruising at 2,400 feet.
Let's free the ketchup.
So much to get off my chest.
And you've always had magnificent teeth.
How bad have things got?
It's going downhill now, isn't it?
The nation will be back stronger.
Hi, and welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast. Peter Crouch, Tom Fordyce and Chris Stark are here with me, Ben Foster. How we doing, lads?
Welcome to the podcast, Ben Foster.
You're right, Ben. All good?
Yes, Crouchy. Nice to see you, mate.
I've saw a few clips of you doing taking the Watford boys on a cycle.
This is like heaven for me. Do you know what I mean? I get to go out on my bike, and even if the weather's crap, I can go on Zwift on my Watt bike or something in there. This is perfect for me. I am built to deal with this kind of coronavirus lockdown. Honestly, I'm world class at doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, you're built to survive a pandemic, aren't you, Ben Foster?
Mate, like quizzes as well. How many quizzes have you lot done? I'm bucked out, mate. I am bucked out. My schedule for quizzes this week is incredible. I've got one tomorrow, but like I'm nervous already. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking about the quizzes because I've got to come up with my own questions. They've got to be decent questions because I'm getting pouters if somebody has a bad question round or something. You're getting pouters off the lads saying, "Come on, what are these? What's this about?"
Who are the top quizzes in the Watford squad?
Right, Starkey, who would you guess? It's been me, Tom Cleverley, Danny Welbeck, Cathcart, Dawson. Who would you say would be top out of them?
I reckon Dawson must be up there. No. Must be. No, serious?
No, these are parched, mate. He's a massive parched.
Wallop.
Honestly, if you played with him at some point in your career, I'd be saying it's definitely him who's parched because he is just Mr. Professional. Don't do anything other than just what needs to be done. Completely professional. Oh, he's ridiculous.
That surprises me. Well, then I guess the next obvious is probably Cathcart. But I mean, seemingly I'm getting
Tom
it all
Cleverley,
wrong.
There's possibly a clue in the name.
Yeah, Cleverly. To be fair, Tom's a very clever lad. You know, even Danny Welbeck's a very clever lad. I think you wouldn't have thought it just by looking at him. So I was at United with them when they were kids, and they were right little rat bags. You know what I mean? Little chavs kind of thing. Like some pictures of Tom Cleverly, proper skinhead haircut, and he looks horrible. But yeah, he's a clever lad, mate. Real clever.
What kind of questions are we talking here?
Do you want me to read a few? I'll just read a couple because I've got them in my notes anyway.
Me, Chris, and Tom will have a go. I'm pretty sure I know who the winner is here.
Who was Michael Jackson's monkey called?
Tom.
Chris.
I just shouted it before that.
That's ruthless.
Sorry.
Who plays the voice of Shrek?
Chris. Oh,
I've got it
too soon.
Oh, no, I've got this wrong.
Peter,
I was going to say Eddie Murphy.
Crouchy.
Crouchy, go on, Crouchy.
Mike Myers.
Yeah, so we go.
Did you definitely get in there first, Crouch?
Yeah, I did.
So this is the calibre of questions we're talking. We ain't talking like brutal, hard sort of astrophysics questions here. We're talking, run-of-the-mill sort of little testers kind of thing.
Do you think, in terms of intellect, it's goalkeepers over strikers, defenders over midfielders? What generally speaking, would you say is the most intellectual position?
He loves stirring the pot, doesn't he? Look.
Yeah,
him sitting back. Yeah. He just said that, and then he sat back with his little craft lager and let the fireworks commence.
Some of the strikers you come across in football, Jesus, they are honestly like loose cannons. Doesn't even describe it. They are you just don't know what you're going to get from them. Like emotionally, they're rubbish. Like they don't know how to deal with emotions. That's why they're going crazy 1 minute and then they're like crying the next minute, and then it just sort of works backwards, and you just get a little bit steadier as you work back through the team, through midfield, through defence, and then you end up with a goalie who, do you know what I mean? Crouchy, I guarantee you, there's not been many goalies you'll have come across who are sort of idiots or plonkers. Do you know what I mean?
When you say more intellectual, I think I would go with that. Sometimes are quite comfortable in their own skin, will be quite comfortably be on their own, whereas strikers need to be loved. They need to be, they want to be in the mixer around all the lads, whereas a goalkeeper can take himself off, be happy in his own environment.
The striker is the lead singer, it would appear from the outside, and the goalkeeper is the drummer.
That guy at the front, he needs everything. He needs all the love. He needs everyone singing his name, hugging him. You're the man. You're the man. That's what strikers are.
I think if I was on a plane that was going down, right, and they put out the announcement, they said, right, we need someone to land this plane, I would trust the goalkeeper.
Just a calmer guy. Yeah, that's it.
Having said that, though, like the striker would love to take the glory of landing it.
Yeah, yes, they would. Afterwards, they'll be on fire. They would be loving it, lapping it up. It'll be on Twitter, Instagram within seconds. There'll be TikTok videos. They'll be on flames. They will.
The keeper lands it, and then the striker just pushes him out of the way and grabs the joystick as it's taxiing along the runway.
It's massive getting you on the podcast. Ben, I've been singing your praises for a while. I say that you're the Premier League's best goalkeeper, and I stand by that. And honestly, I mean that sincerely. Would you agree with me, or would you question my decision there?
Mate, it's you and my mum. You're the only ones that ever say that to me, you and my mum. Like, my biggest fans. I love it. It makes me feel nice, at least, anyway, Starkey. It's complete rubbish. There's no way you can put me in that bracket, but I do appreciate it, mate. It does make me feel nice.
No, I don't like to hear this, Ben. You need to back yourself,
Mate, honestly, like football for me, like it's great, and I do enjoy it. I don't get me wrong. I do enjoy that Saturday afternoon, but I think when you get older, when you get sort of 35, 36, 37, like Craig said, I'm just happy in my own skin now. So I'm just happy going about my job, doing it. And then once you have family and all that as well, it's more important than football. So, but no, keep going on, mate. I love that. It's nice, honestly. It's wicked.
So we've heard a few tales about how Crouchy started in football. How was it for you, Ben?
Yeah, like I say, it was a mad one. So like I left school at 16. I was a chef for 2 years, Cafe Rouge, Leamington Spa. Being a chef, as anybody, if anybody's a chef out there, they'll know, they'll tell you it's super long hours. Like you're talking 50, 60, 70 hour weeks sometimes. It's ridiculous hours.
Are you an actual chef though? Like, can you do nice dishes now and stuff?
Yeah, I do everything, mate. I to be fair, like I love cooking as well. But I think mainly because you get a bit of peace and quiet in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean? You've got the missus and kids sort of running riot and doing all their kind of stuff. When you're in the kitchen, like you don't want people running around your feet and stuff. So you can just have a bit of peace and quiet sort of thing. But like even like the last few weeks have been golden with the weather. Like, so I've just been out in the garden barbecuing every day. But you end up just having a beer every night, and then you'll have 2 beers every night, and then for it, like it's hard work. It is when you're barbecuing every night.
Yeah. Can we throw you a cooking question, Chef Foster? Oh. In your opinion, as a trained chef, should ketchup be kept in the fridge?
Ketchup has to be in the fridge. That's it's where it belongs. Once it's been opened, it's in the fridge.
You're not concerned about cold sauce on hot food?
Mate, I put ketchup on everything. I love ketchup, honestly. Like I don't care what it is. I'll have anything. I had this morning, I had a pack of prawns I had in the fridge. I put some Branston pickle on them. I don't care, honestly. It doesn't bother me.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
How does a man go from Cafe Rouge to Manchester United in England?
I was just playing for like a local non-league team they were called Racing Club Warwick. They were in Dr. Martin's league back in the day. One night we had like a game and there was a crash on the motorway. So a scout that worked for Stoke, he was driving home. He had to go some mad A-roads to get home sort of thing to avoid the motorway. So anyway, he came, watched the game and saw me playing, and that was it, mate. He scouted me. He signed me for Stoke.
But hang on, if there hadn't been that car crash... You wouldn't have been scouted that day.
I guarantee you, there's so many people that haven't made it in football or whatever it is, just because of those tiny little things. Like, it's class, isn't it? How good's that?
How long were you there?
Only sort of 4 years, really. I did my cruciate in my knee in 1 year, so I was out for a year. And then towards the end, I was just going out on loan. So, like, I just wanted to play games, though. Do you know, when you're 21, 22, you just want to play games. So I went out. I remember going out on loan to, like, friggin' Wrexham. And it was at Wrexham that it sort of kicked off from there, really, because we had Darren Ferguson, obviously Alex Ferguson's son. I remember we played in the Audi V Vans final back then. And I remember seeing Alex Ferguson's face on the telly at the Millennium Stadium. I did well that game anyway, played well. And then anyway, it was a couple of weeks later, Darren Ferguson sort of, he grabbed me and he goes, my dad's keeping tabs on you now, so just keep going the way you're going. And Man United might want to buy it. And I was like, what? You can't tell me that now. Like, I was shitting myself. Like, I had still had half a dozen games left to go. Like, imagine just dealing with that when you're like 21, 22 and you ain't done nothing in your career. But yeah, luckily it kind of all worked out. I did all right till the end of the season. And thankfully they came and bought me in the summer for it was about £1 million or something.
What are the first words that Roy Keane says to you when you arrive? We're a bit obsessed with Roy Keane.
He's a scary bloke, by the way. I mean, like, I was shit scared of it. He was proper scary. It's a reserve team game. Do you know what I mean? It's a pre-season friendly. It's a reserve team game. And he was playing centre mid as usual. I had the ball in my hands, and obviously we're Man United, so we're just sort of dominating, passing about. And he dropped in for the ball so I could roll it out to him. I rolled it out to him too slow, apparently. Oh, my God. He absolutely bollocked me. He bollocked me on the pitch, yeah? Like, stopped the ball and bollocked me and then turned around and carried on running. And still, nobody would even bother trying to tackle him because it was Roy Keane. Mentally, like, nobody teaches you how to deal with that kind of thing. It was like chucking you in at the deep end, like the deepest deep end as well, and going the sharks in there as well. Just deal with it though, and I couldn't deal with it. Like, thankfully, they were happy for me to go out on loan to Watford for 2 years, just to sort of, like, say, ply your trade basically, and just sort of learn how to play first team football and be around sort of being in the first team.
You know, when you say you couldn't deal with it, like, were you worrying when you went home? Like, how were you feeling?
I had finished my 2 years on loan at Watford, and then I went back for the third season, and Edwin van der Sar was the first choice goalie, and he actually broke his hand in the summer, only a couple of weeks before the season was due to start, and he broke it really badly. He had to have a plate in it, so he was out for the best part of 3-4 months. I was second choice goalie at the time, so it was like, right, I'm going to be the next goalie. I was still playing with England, all that kind of stuff. So I got in the team, I started the season, did really well, but then I had a few shaky games, about 7 or 8 games in. The one game which did it for me was, do you remember the Man City derby, the Man U Man City derby, where it was 4-3 to Man United?
Michael Owen won.
The Michael Owen one, yeah. I was all over the shop. And I remember, thankfully, Michael Owen scored in the last minute, and I was like, oh, thank God for that. But I remember coming in at full time, and Sir Alex Ferguson nailed me. And I mean, he nailed me absolutely. Like, we've just won the game, so everyone's buzzing, and he shut everybody up to nail me in front of everyone. And I was thinking, oh, wow, I don't need that. Do you know what I mean? And
what did he say?
Yeah, what were his words?
You pull this shit ever again, that's you fucking done. And thankfully, he kept me in the team, and I carried on a few more decent games, did okay. And then I dropped another clanger. We were playing at home to Sunderland, and big Kenwyn Jones.
Oh, what a spring.
What a spring. So strong as well. He was an absolute tank, honestly. Bullied me to the ball, scored with the header, and I'm on the floor in a heap. Thankfully, again, Patrice Evra scores a last-minute equaliser. So I'm kind of buzzing again, thinking, oh, thank God for that. But nah, Fergie's got in a full time, gone at me for about 2 or 3 minutes. You're finished, you're out, you're in the reserves now, that's you done.
In the changing room?
Yeah. Like,
he's saying that to you in front of... So who else is in the team at this point?
All the big boys are there, everybody's in the dressing room. I look back and I think that maybe that was harsh, but I think probably he could see that I wasn't ready. At that moment in time, I wasn't ready for Man United, do you know what I mean? It was just like, it was the wrong place at the wrong time for me, and I just couldn't deal with it, do you know what I mean? So as soon as that happened, and he said, that's you, you're out, you're in the resis and stuff, and like I say, you weren't lying, I was in the resis, mate, that was me done.
Have you ever seen Ronaldo getting bollocked, or some of the other lads getting bollocked there?
I'd never seen anybody get as bollocked as what I did. I think he saved the best for me, honestly. He saved the best for me. It was brutal, mate. I could, honestly, that was me done. Like, I knew for a fact I was never, ever kicking a ball ever again after that happened. Nobody could ever drop their standards, ever. And that's what drove them to just be the best. And if it meant cutting the driftwood off along the way, then they did it. It was not a problem to them.
However much of a legend he is, that is a horrible experience to go through, and I would think that your confidence goes down. It sounds like a bit of an ordeal you went through. How did you rebuild?
It was, mate. It was horrible. It was an horrible thing. Do you know what I mean? If you shout at a grown man, it sort of kills your soul a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's rubbish kind of thing. You don't do that to people. But I think the bit for me that kind of did my head in a little bit was after the game, we went and got showered. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody came up and patted me on the back and said, like, never mind. The only person that ever said anything to me was in the showers was Scholesy. I'm all over the shop kind of thing. My head's gone. And Scholesy was the only one who just sort of basically went, Fozzie, don't worry about it, mate. He does it to everyone. If I saw somebody get a powder like that, I would at least go and go, mate, don't worry about it. He's like stressed because of this, or he's having a bad time. It's a shit result. He's getting powders in the media, that kind of stuff. Or just try and, do you know what I mean? Say something like that about it kind of thing, just to soften it a bit.
He picked you, Ben. That's the thing. He is the guy who signed you, and he's the one who picked you. So
yeah.
You are to blame specifically for those errors, but he needs to take responsibility in that situation for being the bloke who selected you.
For me, it killed me at the time, honestly. Don't get me wrong, it killed me. You said earlier about goalies kind of being comfortable in their own skin. I think that's something I've probably rediscovered. Well, not rediscovered, but discovered. But that's only from, I'm better equipped to deal with stuff because of what's happened to me. Do you know what I mean? Of the things that I've faced and the setbacks and all that kind of stuff. No matter what it is that happens to you, even if it's the worst of the worst, if it is Sir Alex Ferguson telling you that you're done, you're shit, you're all this kind of stuff, you can learn a lesson from it.
Crouchy, I don't know how you feel about never having received the Fergie hairdryer treatment.
His hairdryer is famous, but there's a million youth team managers or reserve team managers or first team managers. And I've had bollockings that you would not believe from the age of 13 upwards, I'd say. My last manager, Sean Dyche, I've seen him dish out things that you wouldn't believe. And I think there's no getting away from the fact that it's a tough industry. And I think if you haven't got the right mentality, then you're going to get walked all over.
Did Fergie ever say to you, Ben, in future years, do you know what, you've done well?
We actually played against Man United in his final game, the 5-5 draw at West Brom. He looked at me, kind of smiled, and he said, "Nice to see, like, you're doing well, or you're doing something like that kind of thing."
And then you let 5 goals in.
Yeah, and then I was still shitting myself then. Even when he walked past me, I was like nodding to him and stuff, going, "Yeah, it's Alex Ferguson, oh my God."
So then you've ended up in Birmingham, Ben. You've only had one season there, but you played in a pretty remarkable match.
That was the season we won the League Cup against Arsenal. That was one of my best moments in football. That was great. But we had Carson Young. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
He only ever came into the stadiums a few times, and came in to see the lads. But his English was zero. He couldn't say a thing. Honestly, it was about 2 or 3 games before the end of the season, and we're in trouble. We're facing relegation here, and they've gone right. The owner wants to come in and just say a few words before the match. Bit of a sort of morale booster. Eventually, it went quiet. All these kind of guys came in with him, and he walks in, and he's a bit like Elvis. He's got these white silk, like snooker referees. They wear those white gloves. Yeah, he's got a pair of these white gloves on, and the stuff he wears, he's got to be an Elvis fan anyway. He walks in, and you can see he's nervous, and it's all quiet. It's so weird, and he doesn't say anything, and everyone's thinking, what is going on? And eventually, he just blurts out, "Win," and that's all he says. He says, "Win," and then he just stops and walks out. That was genuinely all he could say. That's all he could muster was "win."
I mean, it's punchy. Wow. It's to the point, isn't it?
Yeah, no messing about.
He's
no
got his message across.
Yeah.
When I was at Portsmouth, early days when I was 19, Milan Mandaric owned the club. I remember him coming down once, and we hadn't won for the month. He started his speech because he had this sort of, I think he's Croatian, wasn't he? But he had a sort of American twang or whatever it was. He came in, he said, "Now, usually I don't do this, come down to the locker room." And everyone went, "What the fuck's a locker room?" He carried on his speech, basically saying that he was fuming. And then he said, "We're not paying you for this month." He said, "You haven't won a game. Why should I pay you for the month?" Everyone was fuming. And I sort of looked around and went, "Well, yeah, it's fair enough." I was single at the time. I was getting far too much money than I needed anyway. But obviously all the players that had families were fuming, and I was just going we didn't win this month. And he went with it. We didn't get paid. We eventually, I think the manager was like, you can't just not pay them if they haven't won. I thought it was fair play to him.
Well, I think that's a great philosophy, actually. I throw it open to you boys. What an interesting world it would be if you only got paid if you won.
We would have been paid at Watford for the first 6 months of the season, mate. Shut up, all right?
Crouch has done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
We played together with England and stuff, obviously not for long, but you retired quite early. Are you happy with the decision you made?
Yeah, I am, mate. I am. At the time as well, it was, Capello was the manager. Do you remember Capello?
Yeah.
He was very different to most managers or even most people I've come across in my life. I just didn't feel like he ever showed me any respect whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? The big reason why was I just had my second boy. I was actually on international duty. My wife was pregnant up north in Manchester. So she rings me in the morning and says, "Ben, listen, I think my waters are broke. Don't just chill for a bit. We'll see," kind of thing. I was like, geez, I need to go now. I remember going to see the manager and going, "Fabio, listen, I think my wife's in labour, I think I need to go up north." And he was like, "Well, we've got training in half an hour. We've got training." And I was like, "Seriously?" So anyway, I managed to persuade him that I could get off. So he let me get off and whatever. But within 2 or 3 hours of my son being born, he was on the phone saying, I need you back down here. There's a game tomorrow. It was only I think it was only a friendly as well. He said, you'll play the second half, because I was only second choice goalie at the time. It would be worth it. So I remember saying to my wife, listen, I know it's not ideal, but I think I'll play the second half, so probably do it. And she was like, yeah, cool, go on then, do it. Got there, didn't even come on for 1 minute. So for me, so that goes beyond sort of football for me. That's just not on. Do you know what I mean? So
that's just pissing you about.
Yeah,
so why didn't you play the second half then?
At half time, I'm thinking, right, come on and get ready in a minute, sort of mean, just psych yourself up a bit, kind of thing. Nothing, mate. Not a look, nothing. So yeah, for me, that was it, mate. Game over. So I remember getting back to Birmingham, where I was at the time, and I got the club to put a statement out, basically saying that's me for a while, kind of thing. The kids have been born. I was missing being at home with them. But then eventually I did actually return for another few years under Roy Hodgson. I don't know if you played under Roy, Crouchy, but...
No, he binned me off quite early.
But you two are like ships in the night. You sort of seem to be...
He was an Andy Carroll man,
different
wasn't
managers, different...
Yeah, no, I didn't have much success under Roy.
I think if he'd give you a bit of time and you'd have got to know him as a bloke, he's world-class bloke. So he obviously gave me a call when he got the England job and said, listen, would you be interested in coming back? Even if you're not playing, if I was like third choice goalie, for example, at least I knew I was respected, and that meant a lot to me.
You had a very nice World Cup record as well, didn't you, Ben? You've literally never conceded a goal in a World Cup.
Brazil was a funny one, to be fair. Like, we were staying kind of on the Copacabana beach, and our training ground was about an hour away. It was probably only about 2 kilometres, but because the Copacabana traffic is so bad, it's absolute murder, honestly. So for us, we had to get in a coach in the morning. There was 2 armoured tanks in front of us, 2 armoured tanks behind us. We had a helicopter in the air, and then in the sea, going alongside us, there was a warship following us along.
What?
because possibly somebody might do something. It was mad. Honestly, it was absolute carnage.
Sort of Grand Theft Auto, sort of 5 stars.
5 star. You pissed everybody off massively now that you're going to get it. Yeah.
Crouchy, going back to what you were saying about the question you were asking Ben around the retirement, it sounds to me, Ben, that you were pissed off. What I'm interested in is how both of you tackled that issue of almost having to rule yourself out. Is it to kind of put it all to one side and stop speculation?
My situation was, as soon as Capello left and Hodgson took over, Carroll came into fitness and was playing quite well, and he just preferred Andy Carroll to me. So I was fuming. He had the decency to call me, it was 2012, was it? And tell me that he was not going to pick me. I wasn't too pleased with it. I probably said things that I regret a little bit, and then that was the end of me, really, which is fair enough. I accept that, but I never retired. So
did you put a statement out, Crouchy?
No. Did
you ever say?
No, not at all. No. I was hoping that I would get a call up at some stage. I was banging goals in my first season at Stoke, and just before the Euros, I was flying. That was
the season you scored that overhead kick, weren't it? Past Harty. Oh, what a goal that was! Wow.
Yeah, that was one of the best goals I ever scored. It was just on. I was thinking, I'm bang shooting for the Euros, and then obviously dropped the bombshell on me, and I felt like I was playing really well, and then obviously I was told I wasn't in, and I was so gutted, but it was raw, and I probably said things that I regret, and it was my fault. And then that was me then, which understandably so. But yeah, really frustrating because I didn't retire. It was just I was retired, basically.
Out of the 4 of us, who's eligible to play for England still? I'm happy to rule myself in.
I'm available.
Tom? I certainly wouldn't rule myself out. I mean, listen, there'd have to be probably 2.5 million people who would be injured.
Yeah, but you're eligible.
I'm technically eligible.
So you're telling me there's a chance? No, I'm not eligible. Sod that for a game, mate. I've got no interest whatsoever. Bloody hell. Absolutely no chance. International breaks. Holidays, mate. We get to go away. Like, we'll go away for 3, 4, 5 days, sort of thing. Perfect recharge. It was the best thing I ever did, was retiring, because it prolonged my playing career for God knows how long. So hopefully I'll be able to play for another 2, 3 years. Yeah.
What's your holiday, Ben? Is it? I imagine you sort of centre parks every time. Up the climbing wall, bit of shooting, that kind of thing, archery, activities.
Cycling, mate. So take the kids cycling over to France or do some Alpe d'Huez or something like that.
Oh, amazing.
No, I'm joking. I don't do that. We go to Dubai, mate. No chance.
Tom thought you could go and pack your lycras in your carry-on case and go on a little trip to Mallorca or something. Do you have the silly little cleats?
Oh, mate, I've got all of it. I've got everything, Crouchy. I am like full kit wanker, mate. Honestly, like it's ridiculous. When I'm in the gear and I'm like about to go on the bike, I look in the mirror, I think, you look decent. You look decent today, Fozzie, you do. You look proper nice.
Oh, that's mad, because I can't even imagine how I'd look in it.
Tony Pulis must have been all over you. You must have done the hills pre-season on the bike. Were you cruising that pre-season then?
I don't care who you are. You can't cruise a Tony Pulis pre-season, mate. It's honestly, there was a few people I know who played for Palace and they were like, Fozzie, what's pre-season? I was like, lads, oh my God. And I'm trying to tell them what it's like. And they're not having it. They're going, no chance. There's no way they're giving you wake-up calls at 5:30 and then you're out on the hills at 6 a.m. No chance. Mate, you wait. Honestly, it was brutal, wasn't it?
Oh, brutal. Like, you find the steepest hill in the middle of Austria and you're up there and you're looking at your watch. You haven't had breakfast. You just rolled out of bed. 6 a.m. Unbelievable. You ride all the way back down, then you're back up it. And it's constant loop. And then you get back, you have breakfast, and then you're playing football at like 10, 11. And then 4:30, you're back out again doing some sort of activity.
Like one of his famous things, like if somebody had an injury, he would say, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. What? So I've done my cruise shit and he'd come in and he'd go, what are they saying? 6 months, isn't it? You cruise shit. And he went, you could do that in 3. You could do that in 3. I'm like, I don't know, you know. I will see. I'll give it a go.
Do you know what, though? I found him to be one of the best managers. I absolutely loved him. I think he's one of those, if you're on his side and you're with him and you buy into what he's doing, he absolutely loves you for it. And he was just brilliant with me. And I remember seeing him after games with Ab and stuff, and he'd give us a bottle of wine and he'd always ask how the family were, and obviously had his ways, but he was incredibly successful in what he did.
It's like he's got two different characters, hasn't he? He's got the football guy, and he's got to be like he is at football. He's got to be ruthless. He's got to be shouty, and it's his way, and that's it. But like you say, he's got a guy away from that who's honestly, like Crouch said, top class guy. Honestly, what a wicked bloke. Seriously, and he'll happily put his arm around you and go, "You ain't playing, mate. You've been shit." And that's all it is. Honestly, he doesn't care, but he'll tell you it's black or white, and it's wicked.
So how does it work at half time? Because with someone like him, I imagine if he's pissed off, right?
I've got a wicked Tony Pulis story for you. It was the last game of the season, yeah. So I've got a notepad here. Look at this for preparation, lads. This is top class. This is what we're dealing with here, by the way.
He's on the wrong podcast.
Look at this, yeah.
What is that notepad?
So let me show you. Yeah, we're playing away at Swansea, right? They were a good team. They used to pop it. They were, you know what I mean? They were really slick team kind of thing. So anyway, last game of the season, it's baking hot, right? We're winning 1-0 at half time. We're winning. We're playing so nice as well. Yeah, we ain't even playing Tony Pulis football. It's lovely football, right? We get in at half time, 1-0 up, and he goes, lads, what the fuck are you doing? What is that shit? He goes up to the board, yeah, and scribbles out the middle of the pitch like that, yeah? Scribbles it out, yeah? He says, you see that? Fuck that Barca shit. He says, get it in there. And he's pointing at the 18-yard box. Get it in there and get round it. And then we went and lost the game 2-1. Incredible. Honestly, it was incredible.
So what was Pulis like at full time?
After that Swansea game, right, Craig Dawson, he was a centre-back, and Swansea had Llorente. He absolutely bullied Dawes for 2 of the goals, right? And he has mullered Dawson, yeah. But don't get me wrong, this is the last game of the season, yeah? So I've got my cycling holiday booked tomorrow. So he's killing Craig Dawson. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting next to Dawes, right? And I'm thinking, I'm going to say something in a minute. Here because this is out of order. Like, it's the last game of the season. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, but you're going on holiday tomorrow. You're going on holiday tomorrow. Just let it go. Go on holiday, and we'll talk about it next year. So I felt sorry at the time, but Dawes has been golden.
I remember we played Reading at Stoke, the era where Rory Delap was pinging in throw-ins. We were all going forward, and I think it must have been the sort of 10th, 11th time where Hoof and Shawcross come up from the back. Joby McAnuff, do you remember him, right? He just turned to me and he went, we've grafted for 7-8 years to get him to the Premier League, and we're fucking doing this.
Crouch going for the spectacular. Oh, what a goal from Peter Crouch!
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
How is it for you when you see managers talking about goalkeepers and maybe even pundits talking about goalkeepers?
To be fair, like nobody really knows what it's like to be a goalie unless you are a goalie. And I'm sure up and down the country on a Saturday night, most goalies are watching it going, "You're an idiot. You're wrong." But you know what I mean? You've got to just take it with a pinch of salt.
What's the most insulting phrase a goalkeeper can hear from a commentator or pundit? My guess would be straight at him.
Yeah, a little routine, one of those routine saves. It was a routine save for Foster or whoever it is. And I like saying, you just got to, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Take it with a pinch of salt. I think the worst things you ever hear as a goalie is you know, when like you're a young lad coming through Crouch and you're playing the reserves or something like that, and you might only have like 50 people at the game or 100 people at the game or something, and there will always be somebody that will stand behind the goal, especially just to get on the goalkeeper. They give you dog's abuse, honestly. Some of this, they'll bring your mum into it, your wife, your kids, your frigging pets, anything, mate. They do not care. Just to put you off your game, they're horrible there.
What's the worst ground for you for abuse that you've received as a goalkeeper?
It was actually this season. It was away at Wolves. So obviously I used to play at West Brom. I was there for a long time. So West Brom and Wolves are like, that's their big derby. That's their big rival. So we're playing away at Wolves. We end up losing the game 2-0, which I was absolutely gutted about. But I knew that I'm going to get dog's abuse from the Wolves fans. So I was in their main stand for the second half. They didn't sing about the game. They didn't sing about the Wolves. They didn't sing about anything other than Foster is a That's all. That's all they sang, yeah? That's all they sang for the whole of the second half, right? 15, 20 odd thousand people for 45 minutes, relentlessly, yeah? Like, you can even see it in their faces, like the snarl and stuff like that. And I'm still just smiling, going, it's only a game of football, like, you don't have to get that serious about it.
I always remember Ian Walker doing the old middle finger behind the back at the Rookery. And then us just going wild, like, hated him. Do you ever do any of that sort of shithouse behaviour?
You can't, mate. Honestly, you can't. You can't nowadays because everything's on camera. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're fuming and you're seething and you want to do something, you can't do it because you know you're going to get caught.
We've got this amazing photo. I don't know if you've seen it. It got sent in to us. And it's from a lad called Niall.
Keane with the ice cream one, yeah.
I'm thinking we need to get this picture the recognition it deserves. So I've started following the National Gallery on Twitter. And what I just quickly want to throw out here on this podcast is an appeal for anyone who works at the National Gallery or some sort of proper art gallery.
Do you know I've been in the National Portrait Gallery? They asked me and said, we've got this image. Would you mind if we put it up? And I was like, no. Why on earth would you want to do that? Anyway, I told my mum about it. She went and she took a picture of it.
Is it in oils or pastel? What's watercolours?
No, it's a picture of me in my training kit at Tottenham.
You got the Mona Lisa, then you got Crouch in his Tottenham.
I was in my Tottenham training kit. I wasn't even in my... it was a bizarre one, but they liked it and put it in there. My mum was never been so proud. She loved it. She's just taken all her friends up there, dog walking mates.
Hang on, I think I found it.
There you go. It's the snap.
You look really sad.
Hair's looking well though, mate.
It's decent, but it's no Roy Keane with an ice cream.
No. It's no Roy Keane with an ice cream.
Well, boys, have you seen the one we've been sent by Daniel Whiting on Twitter? After hearing about the Roy Keane photo, I once met Sam Allardyce mid-banana. Sam Allardyce in a pink shirt has a sort of expression on his face where it looks like he's seen into the future and seen the end of all mankind.
No, I feel like he's turned round and been caught like the Flash straight away whilst eating a banana.
Didn't have chance. He hadn't got a chance to hide it or anything.
No, he's gone, I'm eating a banana.
Can you see this, Ben? I've got you here.
The banana is quite a bruised banana, isn't it? It's not a perfect banana by any means. It's sustained some damage halfway down the shaft.
Best ones. They're the best flavour then. They're not too ripe. It's nice they are.
It's like they've been caught in the act.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the act is.
Well, have a look at the background of this pic as well, boys. So there is some sort of expensive-looking gold flock wallpaper in the background, and then what looks like an open chandelier with actual candles in. To me, that's not classic banana-in-hand territory.
I love this picture so much, and it's got a lot of love on social. I would love nothing more than when I go out on a bit of an exercise, maybe do a bike ride in Ben Foster's honour, just to see one window where there's Roy Keane eating an ice cream on the window. I really... It would make me smile so much.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Well, it's the time of the show where I tell you about another BBC podcast. Today is the turn of tailenders. Jimmy Anderson, Greg James, Felix White from the Maccabees, plus a guy who's very distantly related to Sachin Tendulkar called Matt. They're all there. Download it now from BBC Sounds.
Did you say a distant relative of Sachin Tendulkar called Matt?
Download the podcast now from BBC Sounds, Ben Foster, to find out more.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.